Happy Monday. Just wanted to share some thoughts with you. It is a beautiful day today, so I look forward to being able to share something. And I'm going to be reading from Luke, and this is about Jesus rising from the dead. And I know we just celebrated Easter, but even though I read this and it still spoke to me, so I wanted to share from you. And please know, and you're going to find out, I am not a preacher and I'm not a theologian. So I'm just speaking to you as a normal person that has faith, reading God's word and having his word just speak to me. So I hope it's something that will touch you as well. So we're starting here with the women when they go to the tomb. And when they open the tomb, they don't see anything there. They only see the cross. And the two angels appear to these women in shining clothes. And the men said to them, "Why are you looking for a living person in this place for the dead?" A living person. Okay, they already saw that Jesus was crucified and died and buried. They saw this. And they're saying a living person in this place for the dead. So he's not there. He is not here. He has risen from the dead. Do you remember what he told you in Galilee? He meaning Jesus. He said, "The Son of Man must be handed over to sinful people, be crucified, and rise from the dead on the third day." Then the women remembered what Jesus had said. So I want to make a note here. There are so many times in our life that we have people, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a faithful friend, a minister, teacher, when we're going through struggles in life, things that we don't understand, and they come to us and they encourage us with God's word and tell us and remind us how God is with us and God will provide. So after this, the women left the tomb and they went to find the 11 disciples to tell them. But the apostles did not believe the women because it sounded like nonsense. So I just have to interject this. Husbands, when your women come and tell you something that doesn't make sense to you, that's a good time to take note and believe. So anyway, back to the reading. But Peter got up and ran to the tomb, and he saw exactly what the women had said. So that same day, 2 of Jesus' followers were going to a town named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking about everything that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and began walking with them, but they were kept from recognizing him. Then he said, "What are these things you were talking about while we walk?" The 2 followers stopped, looking very sad. The one named Cleophas answered, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who does not know what just happened here?" Jesus told them, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Jesus of Nazareth. He was a prophet who said and did many powerful things before God and all the people. Our leaders and the leading priests handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we were hoping he would free Israel. Besides this, it is now the 3rd day since this happened, and today some women among us amazed us. Early this morning they went to the tomb, and they did not find his body there. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said that Jesus was alive." And then we're going down to verse 25. Then Jesus said to them, "You are foolish and slow to believe everything the prophets said." And I want to pause here because if we're reading God's word, we can see so many things in God's word that have been true. There's nothing false that has happened. There have been so many prophecies that have been fulfilled. So if we can just grab onto this and believe his word, we will find what we need. So I want to go further down, starting at verse 28. So they came to the town of Emmaus, and Jesus acted as if he were going further. But they begged him, "Stay with us, because it is late. It is almost night." So he went in to stay with them. When Jesus was at the table with them, he took some bread, gave thanks, divided it, and gave it to them. And then they were allowed to recognize Jesus. But when they saw who he was, he disappeared. Then they said to each other, "It felt like a fire burning in us when Jesus talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures to us." So the two followers got up at once and went back to Jerusalem. They found the 11 apostles and gathered. They were saying, "The Lord really has risen from the dead. He showed himself to Simon." Then the two followers told what had happened on the road and how they recognized Jesus when he divided the bread. So I guess the thing that really spoke to me, not only about being reminded of what Jesus told us and to believe what he told us, and I still have to interject this about the report the women had and the men not believing the women. And then the part about Jesus telling us that we're foolish and slow to believe what the prophets had said, because the prophets are telling us what Jesus said. And then also this is the part that really spoke to me, was about Jesus was walking with these two apostles, and they did not recognize him. He was talking with them, walking on this road, and they were just, everything that had happened, spilling out their hearts to them, the distress that they felt, everything that they experienced, and they didn't recognize Jesus. And he was right there with them. And it wasn't until after Jesus broke the bread that they recognized him. So I just wanted to, I don't know, what spoke to me was the fact, like in our daily life, even through this situation that we're in, we can feel distressed, we can feel pressured, whether it's the finances, the jobs. I mean, everything's going to change. We're going to have a new normal. Life as we knew it is gone. But we can be comforted knowing that Jesus is right here with us. How do we know that? Because we're already told that a living person in the place for the dead is not there. He is alive. And he has been seen, and he has been experienced. Because the disciples even said that as he talked to them, that they felt a fire burn inside of them. That is God speaking to us. His Spirit, his Word, when we read his Word, how it can really ignite and touch something within us. So whatever our needs are, we can have faith and trust that Jesus is with us. He hears us, and he will answer us if we just look around and we read his Word and we acknowledge that he's there. So I have a challenge for us, this week. In our normal life, let us stop and let us look around. Let us, what we call in Vacation Bible School, a God moment. I would love to hear about your God moments. I've already heard about some of them when we're on Marco, how a mom walked into a little girl's room right in the midst of her choking. And if she had not walked in at that very moment, the outcome could have been totally different. That's a God moment. That was God watching over her family. And I know there's other situations out there that are so faith-building and inspiring and comforting, because that tells us God really is in our lives. I would love to hear about those things, and I'm sure others will as well. So let's encourage each other and let us see how God is active, he is alive, and he is involved in our lives. In Jesus' name.